Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Board of Appeals I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Appeals into session now. Today is August the 8th, 2018. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the June 13th, 2018 meeting. I need to call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 13th, 2018 meeting.
I second that motion.
Discussion on the minutes?
No, everything looks
Everything
good.
looks good.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. 3 approvals. Okay, so this evening, we're having a public hearing on Board of Appeals Case 7981, 2018. It is a variance for a screen porch at 13 Bradenton Court in the R-90C Medium Density Residential Cluster Zone. And this evening, I'd like to ask Ms. Forbes to go ahead and introduce the case to us, the official record.
Good evening. This is a public hearing on the Board of Appeals case BOA-7981-2018. The hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property was properly posted. At the present time, there are 17 exhibits in the record files, and they are referenced in exhibit lists in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or in the Planning and Code Administrative Office during regular hours, at City Hall, or on the city's website. Any objections to the receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record, otherwise they will be deemed received in evidence. This evening, the applicant requests a 8-foot variance of the required 20-foot rear yard setback requirement for the construction of a screen porch in the R90C zone as required by section 30 subsection 7 of the zoning ordinance, chapter 24 of the city code at 13 Bradenton Court, lot 16, block B, Fernshire Farms, Gaithersburg, Maryland. And this evening we have Jay and Sharon Maxwell, who are the homeowners, who's going to plead their case.
Okay, thank you very much. So before we start, would you, if you're going to speak, we just need to do an oath for the witnesses. So if you would go ahead and raise your right hand, and if you're both speaking, we can do both at the same time, for just in case.
There you go.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you are about to give in this matter shall be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. So please proceed. Tell us about why you're requesting this variance.
The reason we're requesting this variance is we currently, as you can see from the schematic, where we have a deck that we wish to screen in because it gets a lot of late morning, afternoon, and evening sun, and plus the mosquitoes and other bugs. And we didn't quite realize we needed to go through this whole process for an existing structure, so we're learning and going along our way. And so we found that we were in the 20-foot barrier, didn't quite realize that those were requirements. And after looking at our shape of our lot and the way our house is situated, we have this kind of triangular area of our deck that falls into this zone, and the deck has been there for quite a long time. So the reason why we're looking to do this, as you can see, our one side on the right is a pretty short property line compared to our left property line and back property line. So, you know, the house is a rectangle kind of being fit on, I don't know, what do you call that? Not quite a triangle, but close to a triangle with the driveway area cut off. So it makes for an unusual shape. If we had a normal lot that was, say, rectangular or square with a square house on it, we would have probably be moving on to the building phase at this point in time. So that's the main reason why we're here, is to ask for that 8 feet so we can enclose the whole portion of the deck versus leaving part of it uncovered.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll open. Would you like to present anything else? And
I'm not sure what else I can present. Everybody's looked through it. You know, it's the photos of the existing structure that we want to extend the roof line of the current building that the deck backs up to. Just want to move that over. Roughly, the deck's about 13.5 feet wide.
okay.
So I think I'd rather have questions, and it might help me along to clarify what you're looking for.
Okay. All right, so,
Sure. Have you had any feedback from any of your neighbors or the property that butts up to this, your property, about the
No,
proposed?
No.
No? Okay.
That was all I was gonna ask. Now, I don't see any participation in the audience, so I don't see anybody that has any objections to it, so.
It's always a
So-
good thing.
could we just bring up Exhibit 7 that you have there? And I just wanted, perhaps you can just walk the board through how this is going to work. And it looks like you have a fenced-in yard?
Yes.
So, okay, so
Yes.
then tell me a little bit about how close this open deck area is now to your neighbors, just to sort of walk me through the backyard.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you look at the post that you see on the deck,
Yeah,
can we use that for a reference
sure,
point
sure.
for everybody?
That's great.
So from the corner of the garage to that post, just to kind of give you a scale, is about 13 and a half feet.
Okay,
So if you continue looking down to my neighbor, where you see my next door neighbor's screened-in porch, I'm not really, I guess if we looked at the map, I never measured it, but, you're looking at, that's about a third, and it's 160 feet in the back. So it's 50, probably about 50 feet from the property line, from the corner of the deck to their property line that I share with them, and then the way our houses are situated, you have to go all the way to the corner of my deck, peer around the corner, and then you can see their house. So nobody really looks into our backyard,
okay.
That's good.
unless you have to want to.
Okay.
You have to put yourself on the property where you want to look in. It's just not because you walk in the backyard, you're looking into the yard.
Okay.
And then, so what's beyond your backyard, it looks like a right-of-way there or something?
Yeah, it's two things. So just beyond our fence line is actually the house, is a property. If you go to the map,
Let's see.
I think,
There we go.
yeah, this map.
Yeah.
So if you look at the back property line to
Yeah.
where it backs up to that treat area for 11706,
Yes.
they actually own that little bit of property that's right behind us. They have a very long, narrow lot.
I see.
And then just beyond the trees, where it goes to grass, is, I don't know if it's Pepco, Washington Gas, power lines run through there and gas lines run through there.
Okay, all right.
So then it opens up and then it goes to the court that's behind us. So technically, we have a property owner behind us,
Okay,
but we don't have a home behind us.
okay.
The home is
Got it.
technically behind my next door neighbor if you're looking at it to the right.
Interesting.
So it's all trees.
Got it. Okay.
So it's a very two unusual lots that were kind of
Yeah.
squeezed in there somehow, some way back when in the 80s when this stuff was built, or the 70s. I'm not sure when that portion of the neighborhood was built. It was built before our houses were built.
Okay, all right.
That
So
makes sense.
I think that's very helpful in
Mhm.
describing the impact, as Ashley was describing with the neighbors there.
So,
It
yeah,
looks like
so-
it's minimal.
Yeah, and then the neighbor on the left, they can't really see in their backyard unless you go way back into their yard and then look up, because we have a privacy fence separating between the two of us
Okay,
on the left-hand side. So there's not a lot to see.
okay. Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I don't have any further questions. Any other further questions here?
And then for me.
Okay. And I do not see any other people in the audience here this evening, so I think we'll go ahead and now we'll move to have the board discussion, and we're going to review the draft resolution here. So, so as we're talking about a variance, I wanted just to bring up why this would fall into the definition of the variance, and perhaps we can talk about the peculiarity of the lot itself here. And I might just ask for your weighing in on that.
Sure. I mean, with the variance, we're just, I do think that the hardship that they would face would outweigh the, any potential impact on on the surrounding community. So obviously, I'm originally from Florida. I understand mosquitoes very well. So I'm with you there. And I do think that's an incredibly valid reason to want to screen in this deck.
Our neighborhood's the same way. In fact, we've had a lot of trees that have either uprooted or we've had to take down because of age, and it, really opens up a lot of non-privacy now. So you can see where, I got to figure out what I'm going to do in my backyard.
Okay.
So, these things do come up, and should be not an issue.
And as I mentioned, the unusual lot sizes
Right.
and construction is, obviously something to deal with.
I think also too, just from the discussion, looking at how the houses are actually situated on the lots as described by the property lines, that the houses are somewhat, looks like they're staggered, and so this would not present, granting the variance doesn't seem like it would present a hardship on the neighbors on either
Correct.
side there.
Yep, correct.
And I would say if anybody did have any issues, they would be here, so.
That is correct.
We've
I
had
could
to,
add, they both asked when we were going to get started, when they saw the sign go up, but
And they're ready.
Yeah. Well, that's good, very good. All right, so any other discussion we'd like to have with this? Okay.
none needed.
All right, so we'll need a motion from the board to approve or deny the application and the resolution. And this is, okay, I move to close the record on Board of Appeals, what is the number? Board of Appeals 7981.
I move to close the record on Board of Appeals 7981-2018.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now we will need to have a motion now to approve the variance application or deny.
Okay. I make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the findings and conclusions outlined in the draft resolution, approve variance application BOA 7981-2018 and adopt resolution BOA 7981-2018.
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 3-0. So this now concludes our public hearing, and we just have other items on for our meeting tonight, some administrative things. So
Great.
thank you very much for coming, and
Thank
best
you.
wishes on your new addition.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have on our agenda, do we have any items from Caroline this evening?
No, just a reminder, the next meeting is Wednesday, September 12th, and we do expect to have an application on the agenda, so hopefully we will see you all then. It's 2 meetings in a row.
And do we have any, thank you, Caroline, and do we have anything, Frank, that you'd like to share with the board? or-
Well, we'll say, we had an open meetings training that I know
Yeah.
Chair attended, and I think a few of you may have, but, and that was last September. Well, the Maryland Planning Commissioners Association is having their meeting in Gaithersburg in late October. And it looks like, and we will be doing an open meetings training for that as well. That'll be open, you don't have to be a member of the Planning Commission or of the Maryland Planning Commission Association to join that. It will be available, so keep that in mind as that comes around, if anybody wants to do that. They haven't firmed the timing. I believe it will be in the morning, either the Thursday, October 25th, or Friday, October 26th. It initially was set for Friday. We've been told it might end up being Thursday, but just, if you're interested, watch for more information about that.
If we did
So that
it
will
last
be
year, is
available.
there any impetus to do it again? Like, do we have, like, is there like a schedule that we need to
I
follow?
mean, I would
as far-
certainly report for anybody watching that it's certainly exciting enough to go through a second time, because you'll have, pretty much the same presenter, at least it would be.
Well, and it was
And,
very
So I'd
exciting.
certainly,
so-
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and a minimum of all but asking for that myself. But no, there has not been any substantive change. And if,
Okay.
once you've had the training, I mean, it's not a requirement that it has to be every couple of years or
Okay.
anything like that.
Cool.
So, really very minor adjustments, and sometimes having gone through the training with, because it's the Assistant Attorney General who serves as the advisor for the Open Meetings Compliance Board, and County Attorney for Frederick, John Mathias, is another trainer that I've, worked with. Sometimes what is presented in terms of examples and discussion, it may depend on who's asking questions and
Sure.
what they have to offer. So it's been interesting in that regard, but the substance has not changed, not in a year, so.
Okay. Sounds
Good to know.
And Greg, do you have anything you'd like to present?
Nothing for me
this
tonight.
evening? Okay, thank you. All right, well, hearing no further business for this evening, I call for adjournment. Go ahead, did you have
You have to
something?
make a motion to close?
I can just adjourn the
Okay,
meeting.
okay.
She has that.
You have to-